Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here in the Pyranha ReactR. Today, 1 year on approximately from when I first got into one of these, we're going to talk a little bit about what's good about it, what's bad about it, and who is it for? Let's get into it. Before we dive into any pros and cons or thinking about who the ReactR is meant for, a little bit of context. I am a whitewater paddler from southern England, so most of my paddling is done down on Dartmoor. This is rain-fed whitewater with a kind of boulder garden-y style, generally speaking. Boulder garden with a bit of bedrock thrown in. I've also paddled the East Lynn with this boat, which obviously is a slightly different character of river. It's a bit more pool drop, a bit steeper, a bit more narrow and technical. And I've also done a tiny bit of paddling up in North Wales on the Mawdac, which again is a bit more steep, technical, pool droppy, perhaps you might call it. But for the most part, my paddling has been on Dartmoor, on the Upper Dart, and therefore has been generally in that kind of boulder garden-y style of whitewater. With that said, let's get into the pros and the cons. As I'm going through, I'm interspersing footage from two particular runs down on the Upper Dart back in February, which I think help to highlight a little bit of what I'm saying about this boat, particularly when we come to the who is this for section. So let's talk about the pros. It's wide, it's got really sharp rails, but it's got quite a high sidewall, and so particularly in boily whitewater, it is just massively stable. The sharp rails are amazing for surfing, and the bow rocker, which is really quite substantial, means that it just loves to ride high and dry. Your nose will feel dry even when you're not really trying. It's very, very confidence inspiring to have a boat that naturally does that. It's very nimble. Despite being a large boat, this is a small that I paddle, and even that is a large boat. It's nearly 9 feet and a decent whack of volume, especially up front. So it is remarkable really that it is such a nimble boat, but that is down to the design, the rocker profile, which enables it to spin very easily. Those sharp edges, which especially towards the stern as it tapers and thins out, enable it to adapt very quickly. It can hold a line, of course, if you want it to, but if you need to change lines, it reacts well. I suppose that is the reason for the name. One other really cool feature about the ReactR, and something that is really specific to this design of boat, is the way that you can pivot the trim of the boat while you're moving to adjust performance. And what I mean by that is micro shifts in your weight backwards and forwards have a substantial impact, and you can even get this kind of very unique boof where you are loading the bow, driving the front end down, and then bringing your weight back ever so slightly, almost sort of stepping off the gas as you come off a drop to enable it to reject and bounce up, and that trim to kind of lift the nose, and then bringing the weight forwards again as it lands and skips out, that classic skip that everyone is looking for nowadays. So those are the pros, and I think summed up, essentially what I would say is this is a boat that encourages a dynamic pre and post rotated forward stroke. It encourages hard work in the boat to maximize use. It encourages good technique, frankly, where maximal muscle groups are being brought into utility and effect in driving the boat where you want it to go. I find particularly when I'm getting out of this boat, I notice that my hips and my knees and my feet, my ankles even, have been working because of the way that this boat wants to be driven, which is a great thing. That's how we should be getting out of our boats, feeling that not only our forearms have been working, but actually our forearms, backed up by our shoulders, backed up by our torso, and informed all the way through our hips and our knees and our ankles. Everything should have been working in tandem, and this boat really encourages that. What about the cons? What's not so great? And I think that some of the footage here from these 2 laps down on Dartmoor, the first lap, I was feeling absolutely on fire. It felt like my paddling was going really, really well. And then the second lap, I wasn't quite so on it. And I think I would say the flip side of that encouragement towards good technique is that if you are not taking that encouragement and running with it, doing as the ReactR wants to be driven, this boat will make you feel pretty lame because it will punish you. The rails will dig when perhaps you don't want them to, particularly on those bow rails if you don't have your weight in the right place. The stern may catch in places that you don't want it to, or it may tap off drops and things like that if you're not getting your weight forwards. I wouldn't say that the boat will punish you to the point of danger, but it will punish you in terms of the lines not feeling satisfying. And I think that that shouldn't be overlooked. It's not purely psychological. If you want to progress and get off the river feeling like you have worked every single session, then get a ReactR and play in it as it desires to be played with. If you are looking for a boat to take care of you and not one in which you are overly fussed about technically progressing, I would argue this is not the boat for you. There are several techniques that this boat encourages, like what I was talking about, the pivot trim and use of really hard edges to ride over features. Well, that takes adjustment, that takes time to learn, and it simply isn't for everyone. Some people will find that to be too burdensome on the body, and that's okay, but it suggests that the ReactR might not be the right boat. And one final point, which I've touched on a tiny bit, is that if you are not landing on the bow or driving the weight forward in this boat, then the tail will tap off drops. You can see from the back end of mine just how easily you can end up losing plastic off the tail. And that is purely a function of coming off drops in that kind of neutral to backwards position where the front will skate a little bit more and it might feel quite satisfying. But especially on UK rivers where there is a bit more rock perhaps exposed than elsewhere, where our boofs are rock boofs as opposed to water boofs, you'll probably find the tail tapping if that's the way you're coming off drops. Whereas if you get the weight forwards, then the ReactR will ride in the way that it is intended to, skipping forwards with those rails engaged. And that is a con, because it sometimes feels quite good to come off in that kind of laid back position and just skate along. If you've made it this far into the video, then thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that this review is balanced and helpful to you if you're someone that's considering buying one of these or has bought one and is needing help in working out where it fits in the quiver. If you are enjoying this, then please do all the usual YouTubey things, like share a comment down below saying how you're finding your experience with this boat, or if you're using other similar 3/4 slice designs that are on the market now, what are you liking about them, and perhaps what are you not liking? Let me know in the comments below and I'll look forward to reading some of those. And likewise, if you are enjoying this, please do share it wherever you feel comfortable. It seems that YouTube's current trend for making videos visible in its algorithm is using a thing called hyping. That's a new thing that you can do down in the likes and comments and sharing bar. I would really hugely appreciate it if you can use
I think you get 3 hypes every week that you can distribute as you like to different videos, and that helps just push them up rankings. If this video is useful to you and helpful, then I would really value you hyping it up for the YouTube algorithm so that more people get to see and benefit from it. With that said, let's get back to talking about this boat.
So finally, and I know I've already touched on this, who is this boat for? Well, after a year of playing with it, I think I would say this boat is for people who want to progress as whitewater paddlers. If you want probably a relatively steep learning curve, but a learning curve that will be really rewarding, then the ReactR probably is the boat for you. If you're willing to work hard at learning your edges, engaging your edges, edging pretty hard, or learning the nuance of edging from flat to a partial edge engagement to a really cranked over edge engagement. If you're willing to learn those techniques of pivoting for the trim backwards and forwards and combining that with your edging, if you're willing to learn these things, willing to learn how to double pump boof and how to sweep boof, and having this arsenal of different techniques that you can use, the ReactR will serve you well. If you are just looking for a boat that can cruise, I would argue that the ReactR is not for you. If you're looking for a boat, especially a one-size-fits-all boat that's going to have that cruise factor, then a long half slice, perhaps with slightly less sharp rails, is probably going to be a more enjoyable boat for you in the long term. Something like the Liquid Logic Power Slide, or if you're not really feeling up for 10 feet of boat, then the Liquid Logic Sweet Ride would be probably a far more appropriate choice for many people in the UK, especially if you have a single boat quiver. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the Pyranha ReactR. If you've enjoyed this video, then as I said before, thank you so much for tuning in. Please do all of those usual YouTubey things, and in particular consider whether you're willing to give one of your precious hypes, or even 3 of your precious hypes, to enable this video to be seen by more people. I would be very grateful. Thank you so much for tuning in. Look out for more videos coming soon, and I'll see you in the next one.